evening, folks. How are we? We good? Okay, very good, very good. Total honor to be with you. Thank you very much, Gary, for the intro. I'm always excited to be in a room full of people that want to up their game. So I just want to honor you and say, you know, the spheres of influence that you're in really matter. You're making a massive impact in our city and society and in the lives of individuals and their families. So it's just really, really exciting for me to be here with you. This session is all about optimizing your 2019. It's about goals, and it's about the building blocks behind goals. It's about habits, okay? I'm going to ask you a quick question. I think I already know the answer, but just by way of show of hands, how many of us can think about some habits that we would like to start that would make our lives better? Just by way of show of hands, just how many of us can think about, actually, you know, there's a habit that I would like to start that would actually make my life better? Have a look around the room, okay, just now, okay? It's pretty much everyone's hand going up. Though we might not know everyone in great detail, we know something about each other already, okay? So what I would like you to do is turn to your neighbor, to your left or right, just shake their hand, look them in the eye, and say, we are going to up our game. Can you do that just now? Okay, all right. So good. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about habits and marginal gains. And with that title being said, there's a vast array of different thought processes going off in your head. Some of you know what I'm talking about, some of you don't, and some of you are in between. We're going to unpack this. And my hope for you is that I give you some actionable tools and strategies that you can employ in your personal life, in your professional life, that really will help make a difference and help you up your game. Does that sound good? Yes, okay, let's just dive into this, all right? I want to talk to you, number one, firstly, about the relationship between goals and habits. Now, if you ask anyone, do you have any goals in your life, and they say no, don't believe them, because everybody has goals. The question is, are they great goals or are they lousy goals, all right? I hope I make it to the end of the day. Lousy goal. I hope I make it to the end of the week. Lousy goal. I hope I make it to retirement or my next holiday. Lousy goal. Okay, these are survivalist goals. They're reactive mindset goals. I'm living life on the back foot. Life is doing something to me, and I'm just all about survival. Survival is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We need to survive, but we can't just stay there. Can we? World changers. Can we? No. Okay, so proactive mindset goal are great goals. Goals that make a difference. Goals that create change, positive transformation. If you're all about positive transformation in your business or in your personal life, say I. I. Okay, right. So we're all about making some kind of positive improvement, going from A to better. These are great goals. Great goals are, you know, I hope that I impact my client population even more. I hope I give them more freedom in their life. I hope I give them more joy in their life. I hope I give them experiences that they'll talk about to other people. I hope my business grows. I hope I can expand my team. I hope I get fitter. I hope I can sleep better. I hope I grow my mindset, my capabilities, my time freedom. These are great goals, okay? Now, what's really important is not only just identifying goals that are right for you and setting them, but then actually creating a system that will help you achieve them. But if you think about it, a goal is like something you want to build that isn't here yet. Okay? You maybe want to build a better version of yourself. You maybe want to build a nicer version of yourself, a more patient or understanding version of yourself. You maybe want to develop a healthier or wealthier version of yourself. These are like walls that you want to build. You want to establish these walls, but walls are made of bricks, individual units, and these are habits. You see, James Clear, from the author of Atomic Habits, says we don't rise to the level of our goals. We actually fall to the level of our systems. We don't actually rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems, which then implies the importance behind our systems, our habits. Our habits. You see, goals on their own are just like dreams, okay? Vision without strategy is merely daydreaming, but strategy without vision is a nightmare. You need the two together, okay? So you need to know where you're going. You need to know, how am I going to get there? What are the things that I have to create on repeat that are going to help me get there, okay? There is a relationship, ladies and gentlemen, between goals and habits. Habits are important, and we can all think about habits that we have, the things that we do over and over again on repeat that are helpful to us, and we can also think about those habits that are the handbrake on our life. Is that true or true? It's true, right? For every single one of us in this room, it's an absolute truth. I've heard it said that at least 80% of New Year's resolutions are gone by Valentine's Day. Is that a waste or not? It's a waste, okay? We don't want to be those kind of people that are setting goals and then they just sort of drift out into nothing. You know, you get your gym membership in January and then, you know, like, it's not there anymore, or you get the cross trainer and now you're hanging your washing on it. The list goes on. We can all think about it, you know. The list of books that I'm definitely going to read this year, and you get through the foreword of book number 1, you know. So what we want to do is be able to create these building blocks that create these big walls and have goals and habits that are meshed together so that we don't waste that potential. Wouldn't it be nice if 2019 was your year? Wouldn't it be nice if 2019 was a year where you really brought your A game, you maxed your potential, and actually managed to achieve or grow into a level of freedom you never had before? That is what Gary and I want for you. That's what we're going to try to deliver to you. So with that being said, let's take a little bit of a deeper dive behind why goals are actually quite hard to achieve. You see, when you set goals, that's when all the obstacles show up. It's true, right? So on the weekend, you're thinking, you know, I need to shape up with my life. So you flick through a few books, you're scrolling through the internet, and then you think, you know what, I'm going to go on my diet. So you decide to do that, and then you do your Asda online shop, and you get all that kind of healthy stuff. Kale, you get loads of kale. Definitely get kale, because that's healthy, right? As you get all the kale, you get all that kind of stuff, and you're feeling good, and you pack your Tupperware box on that Sunday night. You go into work, and you hit the desk, you open up your desktop, and everything's looking good. You go through the kitchen to make yourself a cup of coffee, and there on the kitchen table, whilst you just started your diet, are 2 big fat chocolate cakes, all right? Big fat chocolate cakes. They're fudge-filled chocolate cakes, and they can speak. They're actually calling your name, you know? And they're saying, eat me, eat me, eat me, eat me. And then you're like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? It's because when we set goals, that's when all the obstacles show up. Remember, everything in life that's worthwhile achieving is uphill. Isn't that true? Everything that's worthwhile going for is uphill. It's an effort. Okay, the law of entropy would say the opposite. The law of entropy would say, you know, if you just leave stuff, it actually dismantles itself to a lower, messier, chaotic state. In order to keep stuff tidy, in order to grow from strength to strength and glory to glory, some kind of effort, some kind of encounter that happens within has to happen so that you can actually move uphill. I want to talk to you now about your brain. Now, you have a brain in your head, but you also have a brain on your hand, and I want to show you this brain on your hand. Just with one of your hands, just hold it in front of your face. I'm just going to walk you through a little model here, okay? So I'm going to show you 3 parts of your brain here. In the base of your palm, okay, you have what we call the brain stem. This is just going to keep you alive. It's your ventilator. It's all that kind of automatic process. And then when you fold your thumb over, this is our limbic system. This is where we have all our emotions being processed, our fear, our anxiety, our love, our excitement, all that kind of stuff. And then I want you to wrap your fingers over your thumb, just like so. Okay, this is what we call our cortex, okay? Our cortex is more to do with rational decision making. It's to do with judgment. It's to do with calculations. It's to do with executive functioning, okay? What you've now just created here is a model of your brain. Very simplistically, we have an upstairs brain. That's your cortex. That's the executive. And we have a downstairs brain, the more unconscious stuff, okay? Now, the reason I'm unpacking this for you is because what I'm telling you obviously is true, it's medically sound, but if you understand this, you're going to be able to fight the chocolate cake that's talking to you on a Monday, but then the chocolate cakes of your whole life, of all the obstacles that try and get in the way of how you want to grow. So, quick brain here. Just chucking the cerebellum and the spinal cord. Okay, if we were to slice this into halves, you have an area around about there called your basal ganglia. Inside your basal ganglia, you have an area called the striatum. That is your habit center. That is where your habits live. Okay, you have a hardwired, networked system of operations that make you function automatically. Okay, which is why you don't have to reprocess. How do I open a door every time you're faced with a door? You just do it. okay? It's in there. It's natural. This is your autopilot, okay, in your downstairs brain. You have an autopilot in your downstairs brain. But up here, in the upstairs brain, orbitofrontal cortex, we have the executive, the decision maker, the one that says, you know, today, on Monday, I'm actually going to have a diet, okay? I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to do my thing, whatever it is. The downstairs brain is saying something different, okay? The downstairs brain is saying, oh, actually, you know what? It's nice, and actually the sugar rush is good, and I get more energy, and I get the high, and the dopamine is going to go off, I'm going to get a reward hit, and everything's going to be awesome. And so now we have an argument between these two. What you need to do, folks, is start leveraging your upstairs brain. Start leveraging your executive. Okay, what does that take? It takes concentration, it takes focus, it takes a lot of determination, and that is the point. All right, people say, well, why can I not just get my result? Can I not just grow my team or improve my social media following, or can I not just increase my net worth, or can I not have a better marriage or relationship with my kids without the hard work? No, actually, everything worth pursuing is uphill. So we have an upstairs brain, a downstairs brain, and that's probably why 80% of New Year's resolutions are gone by Valentine's Day. So, when we are talking about habits, and remember, habits are your hardwiring. They live in your habit center, in your striatum, in your basal ganglia. It's your autopilot. Okay. The good news is that you can break bad habits and you can build good habits. Okay. If you go back to the wall being your goal, you can actually shape and craft your future. You can shape and craft how your life is evolving by putting the right bricks in and taking the wrong bricks out. And I just want to tell you a couple of things, theory-wise, before we look at some top tips on how you can shape your habit. So, when we talk about breaking bad habits, we can simplify the habit cycle into 4 key areas: 2 R's, and 2 C's, okay? Let me tell you about the 2 C's first, okay? Step number 1, when it comes to trying to dismantle a bad habit, is you have to recognize the cues, the things that trigger you, that trigger your downstairs brain to say, oh, now we go do X, Y, Z, okay? So, if I'm really stressed, and I just want to run away from that situation, I might emotionally eat, okay? So I might go look for a chocolate bar or a box of chips or something like that. So the cue is emotional stress. So it might be a horrible email, it might be a very difficult patient, someone suicidal in front of me, and it's stressful, okay? And actually, when we're stressed, the first thing to go offline is rational thinking. When we're stressed, that's what goes offline, and that's the problem. When we're stressed, we start to lose our habits, don't we? We start to, if you're under stress, you find it way harder to apply your focus, apply your determination, apply your concentration on what you want to achieve, and then the default setting starts coming out. Isn't that right? So let's say you want to be a way more polite person, better communicator, and nice to folk. That's all easy when everyone's nice to you, okay? It's great, isn't it? But when you have like a smidgen of an enemy come your way and say something curt about you, or just kind of like post a thumbs down on your social media, and you get stressed, being Mr. Nice or Mrs. Nice Guy, Mr. or Mrs. Nice Guy, let's go with that, isn't as easy. Is that true? Yeah, okay. So recognizing cues, okay, this is called being mindful of what's going on. So what is the cue? What is it that starts switching on my downstairs brain and releasing my upstairs brain? Okay, this is the next really important bit. Craving, this is the second C. So I have a cue, then I have a craving, okay? Now, I'll be technical here, but this is worth it, okay? A craving is a firing in your brain, in your striatum, in your habit center, very similar to the reward that you would get if you engaged in that activity. So let's go back to the chocolate cake. When I see the chocolate cake, well, the chocolate cake's the cue, okay? I'm seeing it, all right? And then I have a craving. I'm having brain activity in my striatum that's very similar to when I eat the chocolate cake and I get a dopamine hit. So I'm now starting to experience the benefits even before I engage in it. That's the problem, okay? That's what the craving is. So cue, craving, and then we go into our 2 R's, okay? The next R is very crucial. This is what we call our routine or ritual or response, okay? Response, routine, ritual, you can name it yourself. It's what you go and do, okay? So I see the chocolate cake, and I am stressed, and the craving's hitting, I'm getting striatal activity, and then what's my routine? What do I go do? I go eat it, right? I go eat it. Okay, so that's my response, and then the fourth part of the cycle is the R. That's reward. How do I feel when I eat the chocolate cake? Do I feel good or great? Well, probably great if it's tasty, but then it gets complicated because then all the guilt comes in and whatever, and it gets all messy, and then now I'm on Oprah Winfrey crying, and it's just terrible. It's terrible. But that aside, there we go. Cue, craving. Response, reward, and there lies the habit cycle, okay? Now, people tell you to resist the craving, and they tell you, just cut yourself away from the cues and all that kind of stuff. What we know is actually switching out your response is more effective, okay? Switching out the response is more effective. So this happened to me on Monday. I had an extremely, very, very stressful situation with, a clinical scenario, very stressful, hot under the collar, because I deal with young people, and when young people are suicidal, it's really, really not a fun place to be. And that was the cue. When I encounter very, very stressful situations where there's a problem to solve and I feel stuck, then my downstairs brain goes, go eat something with tons of carbohydrate and fat and whatever, okay? And so my response was go over to the hospital canteen, right, like a Thunderbird's puppet, right? I'm just going, my downstairs brain's taking me there. And I thought, hang on, no, what I can do is I can switch the response. So I went the other way. I just stopped, I turned around, and I went to Sainsbury's and I bought something healthy, and I had that instead. And what I did was I switched out my response. I had a reasonable reward. I felt good. I felt like, oh, actually I feel pretty epic from moving away from something that was going downhill. I went uphill. Really, really good. There you have it. A simple bit of theory that can help you be more mindful about what's going on 1,000 miles an hour in your head in a second, just like that. Okay. Number 2, what about building habits? And this is in the title, marginal gains. Okay. Marginal gains, or the aggregation of marginal gains, is the principle that big results can come from an aggregation of small changes. Big results can come from an aggregation of small changes. Sometimes, we think, I really want to, I want to reformat my shop window of my business to the world. I want to rebrand and show the world my new message. Okay, that's a big, massive undertaking. Okay, you're talking about connecting with people on a limbic level and creating synaptic connections in their brain that you have in your brain, in your business. That's a big deal. It's a big project. And it can be overwhelming, and sometimes people take a run at it, and because they don't achieve everything in a runner, they get upset, and then they fall back. But actually what we know is that even if you improve just by 1% every day, by the end of the year, you're going to be 37 times better than you were when you started, just by 1%, okay? You can look this up in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. He speaks about this. Who is he an example of on the screen? This is Team Sky, right? Cycling for Great Britain, okay? So Dave Brailsford was called in to help the British cycling team. They were really, really struggling. They hadn't won a gold medal since the early 1900s. Brailsford came in and he applied marginal gains with this team. He thought, well, okay, what we'll do is we will improve everything that we can just by 1%. We're going to make a more comfortable saddle. We're going to get better tires. We're going to improve the lubricant in the chain. We're going to help them sleep better, so that we'll let them go off to John Lewis and buy the best pillow that they can, so that they can sleep better, so that they can optimize their sleep. We're going to make the helmets slightly more aerodynamic. We're going to make their diet 1% better. We're going to make 1% gains all over the shop. And so then they kind of stormed through Tour de France and won a whole bunch of gold medals there, or first place there, and then they swept 70% of the Olympic gold medals, didn't they, in 2012, thereabouts. What's the moral of the story? Big changes can come from an aggregation of small changes. Okay, big changes from small changes. The opposite is true. If we kept 1% worse every day over a year, you're going to tail off to pretty much zero in that area. What would your life be if you could start improving one of the areas of your growth just by 1%? Every day, or even every month. 1% better this month than I was last month. Because remember, folks, forward is forward, right? Forward is forward. What would that look like? Okay, so with that being said, let me give you some top tips. Top tips. Okay, these are some top tips that cover the theory that we've been talking about. This is covering this idea of goal-habit relationships. It's covered the idea of the upstairs and downstairs brain. And it's also thinking about the 2 C's, the 2 R's, and also marginal gains. Here's some practical, applicable strategies that you can walk away with. Commit with ink. Gary's going to do this with you today. He's going to help you start formulating goals and visions for 2019 and maybe for years beyond that, but specifically with a pen in your hand, not actually typing on a screen, but a pen in your hand. We know that when we write down our goals and our intentions, for neurobiological reasons, we process that differently to when we type something or speak something. So that actually therefore spells out a great benefit of journaling and processing by hand, okay? But when we commit to goals in ink by hand, we know that our chances of executing those goals increase, okay? Actually, let me just sketch something out from the Journal of Health Psychology. And again, this is I use exercise as an analogy because I think people get it, right? We understand the obstacles there, we understand our desires behind it. 3 cohorts, basically. The test on this 3 cohorts is how many can we get to engage in physical activity, for the betterment of their health. So the first group were asked to get on with it. The second group, so this was just basically instruction. And the second group were motivated to do it, so they got like a motivational talk. And then the third group had to think in ink. They had to make a commitment on paper with a pen that, over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to exercise this number of times in this place over that time period. They're very specific about time and space, basically. Okay, and the results were that about I think it was about 38% from this group engaged over the 2-week period. In the motivation group, hardly any did. But up here, over 90% engaged. Over 90% engaged, just because they were able to commit in ink. I've spoken about this before, but I'm going to say it again. Focus and discipline. Discipline is all about, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to show up. Even though I don't feel like it, I'm not vibing with it right now, okay? Really, do I have to hit the gym right now? It's 6 a.m. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because I'm committed to. It's a discipline, okay? I often speak about 3D hunger. Our hunger is our desire to see something happen. One of the D's is delight. It's a delight for me, or it's my desire to pursue something. Sometimes it's desperation. My back's against the wall. Innovation is a must. I have to do it. I have to put bread on the table. People are counting on me, whatever. But sometimes we lose both of these things. Sometimes we lose desire. Sometimes we lose desperation. And we just feel like, actually, it'd be better sitting on my mum's couch at home eating Dorito chips, watching daytime TV. It just sometimes feels like that. But that's where discipline kicks in, that third D. If you want to preserve that hunger, you want to be disciplined, you want to show up, you want to bring your A game to the table every time, even if you don't feel like it. And actually, those moments don't last so long. Those moments where, actually, I'm not in this. I can't be bothered. Those moments, you re-rail yourself with that discipline. But remember what I said, stress can bring you offline. So manage your stress. Have a think about that. Maybe you want to jot down a list of some of the things that are particularly stressful, or some of the cues that are stressing you out in your life at the moment. Just make a list of that, a little audit of that, because these are the things that are getting in the way between your upstairs brain and your downstairs brain. Your stresses are actually leveraging your downstairs brain, your habit center. okay? And so if you want to increase the slickness of your productivity or your success in life, you really want to be able to manage your stress. Stress and success are very intertwined, okay? And so being able to manage that helps you actually craft the future that you want. Okay, number 4, leverage friction, okay? Now, friction or obstacles, you can actually manage these yourself to your advantage. So for example, creating friction or creating an obstacle between a bad habit and you might be, I did this at Christmas time. Okay, so we get tons of chocolate in the house, right, at Christmas time, tons of it, right? Like so much, like you really don't need that much. And it's in your house, and it's available, it's everywhere. So creating friction between me and the chocolate that I can just eat would be, I would put it on a shelf way out of my reach, which is like the second shelf up, you know. And I would put it at the top of the shelf, and then I'd push it to the back of the shelf, and I'd put something in front of it, you know. It's just a few little obstacles to get in the way to make it harder for me to execute those unhelpful habits for me. But you may want to reduce friction for the habits you want to create, okay? So it might be that actually you have a hard time working out in the morning, so you might want to put your gym kit on the floor, or in my case, which I have been known to do, is actually go to bed in my gym kit. No friction there, okay? I have a friend, she's very into her sport and marathon running and all that kind of stuff, and getting up in the morning is no problem for her, and so we play squash occasionally, and I find that really hard, but I'm just trying to learn some of the things that she does mindset-wise with sport. So I have actually gone to bed in my Nike shorts, and not my trainers, you know, obviously I have limits, but I trying to reduce the amount of friction, okay? Think about that for your life. Think about that for your teams. You know, oh, I want to create a better culture. I want to create a better culture. Well, then how could you reduce friction to be able to maybe have culture meetings? What would you maybe put it in everyone's diary? Just send out a diary invite, culture meeting once a month, whatever. Boom, it's there. It just makes it that little bit easier. You can manage friction. Okay, so leverage friction, habit linking. Habit stacking, habit pairing. I think James Clear calls it habit stacking. Gretchen Rubin calls it habit pairing, habit linking. Think about the keystone or the clockwork habits that you have in your life. All right, the stuff that you have no problem doing. Most of us probably get up in the morning, brush our teeth, and we do that at night. This is a clockwork habit. It's in there. It's just built in. You may have other clockwork habits. I always use deodorant, right, in the morning. After a shower, I just spray on some deodorant. I'm rubbish at remembering to take my multivitamin, okay? So what I do is I habit link the multivitamin with the deodorant. So I literally just keep the multivitamin beside the deodorant can. Never remember to take my multivitamin, but I always remember to spray on the deodorant. When I spray on the deodorant, I just take the multivitamin, okay? That's an example of habit linking, okay? You may want to link other habits, you know, with regards to your personality or your business, about the things that you want to do, how you want to grow, how you want to operate. You can stack them, link them, or pair them to the things that are already working and happening. So you may want to think about that. How can I piggyback some of the new habits that I want to build, my 1% marginal gains, onto things that are already going well in my life? Does that make sense? Okay, we're almost there. I'm going to give you 7. Streak momentum. Sometimes we get a sense of reward out of recording how many streaks in a row of something that we do. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about Snapchat conversations, okay, although apparently that is motivating. I'm talking about, you know, actually, you know, maybe you've got a reading habit you wanted to develop. You want to read 12 leadership books, and so maybe you want to read 3 times a week for half an hour, whatever. Okay, so you literally would want to record those moments, you know, tick them off on your calendar, and the dopamine hit and the motivational cycle builds from, wow, this is working, this is growing. I'm not focusing on what I don't have, I'm focusing on what I do have. I'm not focusing on the gap, I'm focusing on the gain. You'll hear more about that from Gary. So by recording your streaks, that gives you a sense of growth. At the same time, so for example, my wife and I, we have a date night every Saturday. We do this like Indian curry thing, and it's nice. And what I'm trying to do in this quarter and over the years, I just really want to make sure that that doesn't slip. I just kind of like tick them off on my planner. This happened. I kind of like do a little note of what happened, you know, or what we ate or something, just to kind of make it more fun. You know, it works. You may want to do that for your daily habits as well. You may have daily habits that you want to just record streaks. Now, I heard TD Jakes say that, being an entrepreneur or in business is a bit like being a juggler. You're always juggling lots of balls. Yeah, is that true? That we're all juggling lots of balls or spinning lots of plates? Yeah, we're all juggling lots of balls. You said that you can drop a ball, but just don't drop it twice. Okay, you can drop a ball, just don't drop it twice. I would further that and say some of your balls that you're juggling are made of glass. Figure out which ones they are and don't drop them at all. Okay. Figure them out for you what they are. But don't drop them twice. What does that mean? It means that 50%, the worst case scenario that I can have, let's say I want a daily habit of reading and I only do it every other day. The worst case scenario is that I've done it 50% of the time this year. Isn't that way better than not doing it at all? Okay? So you can fall off the wagon, you want to get back on, you want to record your streaks, have a think about that. Okay, and then finally, accountability partners. Okay. The evidence base for accountability partners is clear, okay? I've come across a statistic recently saying that if you tie your goals in with an accountability partner, so have a meeting with them to review your goals, you have a 65% chance of achieving that goal. 65% chance of achieving that goal. So now, that thing that you do at the beginning of the year or do today, here, February, in the Sandman Hotel at this Entrepreneur Club, you have a 65% chance if you be community together, a success community together, and link up with someone, it may be in here, it may be someone at work, it may be with a family member, if someone, 65% chance of achieving that goal. On top of that, if you continue contact with these people, with these accountability partners, you raise the bar from 65% chance of achieving the goal to 95% chance of achieving a goal, okay? Having an accountability partner that you check in with regularly. I know that Gary does at least a big sort of audit of his whole life 4 times a year, and other times in between. I do something similar for different things. I have accountability partners and goal reviews and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying because it works, and it's, again, another way for you to leverage your upstairs brain and therefore your results. So there we have it, and I'm going to just finish with this kind of insight. Something I believe about everyone I speak to is that you are amazing, and there's treasure in you. I wouldn't do this otherwise, and it's a joy for me to help you see that for yourself. A lot of people tell me that, well, you know what, it's all very good, this whole growth thing, and being everything that could be, but it's hard. It's like there's these big giants in front of us. There's, my goals are too difficult to achieve. I can't grow. They're like a Goliath. Who killed Goliath? King David, warrior King David. He's a warrior. I'm interested about warriors. He killed a giant. Okay, that's just what the legend says. So he kills it. He kills this giant, and it was a public victory. It was a public victory, and everyone around him celebrated how amazing this warrior king is. Public victory, overnight success. But if you track back and look at the history of his life, it says that he killed a bear and a lion in secret. He was actually a shepherd, and he looked after the things he killed. He just looked after sheep. A shepherd killed a giant. Everyone saw the public victory, but here's the deal, folks. Some of these big public wins are the compound interest of your hard work behind closed doors. And sometimes you need a Goliath in front of you to realize the David within you. So I just want to encourage you that actually you're amazing, that there's treasure in you, and you can leverage your habits. You can leverage your gains. You can strengthen yourself. You can go uphill, strength to strength, glory to glory, and actually start to craft and create a life that is way more you than ever before. And I hope 2019 for you is your year. Thank you very much.